A few weeks ago, I was visiting a friend, and I stumbled upon one of his side projects, a tiny little console that you can play games on. So since he was nice enough to give me a kit, I thought it would make an awesome video. So stay tuned because next we're gonna look at the components and assemble the kit. This project is open source, so if you want to follow along, there's a link down in the description with all the details. The first components on our list are two 2.7K resistors. Then we have two 12mm momentary switches, two 10 nanofarad capacitors, one 6-way 2-row straight header, slide switch, Attiny 86 microcontroller unit, one coin battery holder, 3-volt coin battery, 0.96 inch OLED display, and one custom PCB that we will solder all our components on. And now that we are done with our componentry, we will also need an Arduino board that we will program our Attiny with. Next, we will solder the components to the board. First off, we're gonna solder the two smallest components that we have, which are these two tiny resistors. There goes one, and another on the other side. And we're gonna turn the board around, and we're gonna spread these wires like so. Okay, that will hold our resistors in place so we can solder them. We're gonna heat up our soldering iron, add just a little bit of flux, and we're just gonna heat it up like so. Our resistors are now soldered to the board. Now we're gonna cut off the access. Next, we will add our capacitors. We're gonna use the same techniques. There we go. Now we're gonna add a little flux. And add a little solder. And we're gonna do the same on the other side. Okay, that looks good. Now we have our capacitor soldered up. Cut off the access. Next we're gonna add our pin headers. Gonna turn the board around. I'm gonna use my pen here to balance the board out. Add a little flux. Now we're gonna use a little solder. One on the other side so it doesn't move around. There we go. And now we're gonna finish the rest of the pins. And now we have our pin headers. Next we're gonna add our slide switch. Turn the board around. Gonna hold it in place. Gonna add a little solder. Okay, this will hold my switch in place so it doesn't move around. And now I'm gonna finish the rest of the pins. Next we will add our Attiny. You need to match up the signs here, so there's a little square here and a little square on the chip here. And you need to match them up, and that's how you put it on the board, turn it around, add a little flux. This will hold my microcontroller unit in place. And now I can finish up the rest of the pins. There we go. Our microcontroller unit is now soldered to the board. Next we're gonna add some buttons. That's one, and on the other side, that's two. We're gonna turn it around. Make sure the buttons are pushed all the way in. Again, add a little flux and then finish the rest of the pins. How does that look? That looks amazing. Okay, next we're gonna add our coin battery holder. Make sure you get your polarity right. Add a little flux to the positive terminal and slightly touch it. There we go. That will hold it in place, and now we're gonna do the other side. Okay, that looks good to me. And now we're gonna attach the last component, which is the screen. Hold that as straight as we can, add a little flux, and slightly touch a pin on each side. There we go. Now that we finished soldering all the components to our board, we can go ahead and flash a game on it. But before we do that, we need to clean off all this flux that I added. And for that, we're gonna use some of these Q-tips and a little isopropyl alcohol. Okay, that looks clean to me. Next we're gonna connect our TinyConsole to the Arduino board. So we can then connect the Arduino board to our laptop so we can flash a game on our TinyConsole. To connect the TinyConsole to the Arduino board, we're gonna use the standard ISP pins on the TinyConsole and the Arduino board. So let's do that by using some cables. We need 5 of these and 1 of these. I will link these cables in the description. So let's start with pin 1. Pin 1 to pin 1. Now pin 2. Now pin 3. Pin 4. Pin 5. Pin 5 will go to pin 10 on our Arduino board. And then pin 6 to pin 6. Okay, we can now connect the Arduino board to our laptop so we can flash a game on our TinyConsole. So let's do that next. To flash a game on our TinyConsole, we need 2 things: the Arduino IDE and the game itself, both of which you can find links to in the description. Once you downloaded the game and installed the Arduino IDE, open up the folder containing the game and double-click on the INO file. This will open the game code in the Arduino IDE so we can prep it for flashing. Next, let's go to Tools and select our board. Then we will make sure the right COM port is selected. And then select Arduino as ICP under Programmer. Now we can click Upload and the Arduino IDE will compile the game code and upload it to our TinyConsole. Once it's done, you should see this message. Okay, we can now remove these cables. Now that we removed the cables, let's insert our coin battery. And the moment of truth, will it work? And surely enough, it turns on. Let's click the left button to start the game and the right button to jump. And it works amazingly. I'm loving it. This is awesome. Ooh, I died. Okay, this is awesome as is, but we are not quite done yet, because all the components are out in the open. So to fix this, let's make a case for our TinyConsole next.
Assembly time!
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing.